Check out today's work of Otaku Daikun fan art. Oh my, it's a Valentine's Dai-chan! It's like a Dakimakura. She's so beautiful. Would you all actually buy a Dai-chan Daki if I made one? Either way, this art is phenomenal. Thank you so much, Kuragi Tutu. Welcome back to Otaku Daikun. We're here for another Dai Time. So Type Moon just recently published their 13th volume of Type Moon Ace, a magazine filled with tons of new info regarding the Tsukihime remake, a new Melty Blood, and updates regarding other Nasuverse projects. It's crazy exciting, but y'all might have mixed feelings about some of these details. Let's go over them. First, we've got the remake. The good news is that the game has a release date of August 26th in Japan for the PS4 and Switch. The bad news is that it will only cover the near-side routes, that being Arcoades and Ciels. Their routes were the more action-packed of the bunch, so it makes sense, but calling this a remake without all of the routes is a pretty sad revelation. Of course, that doesn't mean they won't adapt to the other routes in the future, and the remake of these two will have twice as much story content as the original. As I expected, though, this will not be a vanilla remake. It'll play with old ideas while introducing new ones. Actually, that's exactly why I streamed the original Tsukihime following the remake's announcement. This will not be a definitive version or replacement of the original, so I suggest you play the original for yourself or watch my charity stream so you can be in the loop. Apparently, this remake will be expanding on things like the Dead Apostle ancestors, and will have a much stronger connection to Fate Grand Order's lore regarding the beasts of humanity and such. Either way, the remake is looking fantastic, and my only real complaint is that it hasn't been announced for an international release. Since it's on console, that will make things a lot harder for fans to translate, if it comes to that. Hopefully it won't. Oh, and I saw this coming from a mile away, but this remake will not have age scenes, though Nasu is trying to push for the highest age rating possible to keep all the other mature stuff. The more eclipsing news, however, was the announcement of a new entry in the Melty Blood fighting game series called Melty Blood Type Lumina. From what I've read, this is not just a remake or HD remaster of Melty Blood, but an entirely new work that is a what-if scenario tied into the new Tsukihime remake. All of that sounds cool, except for the fact that Sion, the character originally introduced through Melty Blood, will not be in this game. What the heck, man? Even if this game is being treated as a prequel of sorts, it's still a fighting game, and I absolutely hate when fighting games don't carry over their full roster. At least it seems the game will have solid netcode that supports rollback. Type Moon is more popular than before, so maybe this game will really take off competitively. Sure seems like they want it to, since it's coming out for Switch, PS4, and Xbox One. Unlike the remake, this is slated for an international release sometime this year. On a more wholesome note, the magazine also clarifies that Everyday Today's Menu for the Emiya family, the Nintendo Switch cooking game, has a new release date of April 28th in Japan. Earlier, the game was announced to have a localization in the works, but the actual date of said English release is unclear. If I don't hear anything about it before the game's release, I'll probably go ahead and buy both versions so I can stream it for y'all. Would you watch it even in Japanese? I'd stream the English version too, of course. I've been looking forward to this game for a while now. Some other fun highlights from the magazine list that we'll be getting a manga adaptation of Saber Wars 2, which should be sexy as fuck, as well as more visuals for Fate Extra Record. No official release dates though. It's just good to know what's in development. With all the Type Moon goodies out of the way, this Dai Time still has a lot more to cover. Let's start with the fact that both The Rising of the Shield Hero and The Devil is a Part-Timer are both getting new seasons. Shield Hero makes sense, but I'm surprised Part-Timer is finally getting another season, given how freakishly long it's been since the last one. It's got a completely new art style, which personally I don't think is as polished as the original one. Is it better than nothing? Well, that depends. I'm optimistic anyway. In a previous Dai Time, I snuck in a pic of a censored Rosario from Genshin Impact, but now I can say that said censorship is 100% legit. She's had a noticeable reduction in her chest size, and it makes me sad. It doesn't ruin my day, but damn it, it's the principle of the thing. After all, this hate for boobies is truly unfounded, and often hypocritical. Since I last mentioned Pyra and Mithra in Smash, fans have created two different mods, one that increases jiggle physics, and one that undresses them. Naturally, the Puritans are upset, but honestly, if fucking King K. Rool can have bounce physics for his fat ass, it's only fair that the girls get their own special physics. Plus, this is all just for fun. These mods aren't official in any way. They truly aren't harming anyone, which is more than I can say for the competitive Smash community itself. One of the reasons people got upset about Pyro was because the community was already toxic without such busty babes. But as it turns out, those breasts have nothing to do with why people are creepers. Key individuals known for virtue signaling against anime have been found under criticism for real-life misconduct, proving that a love for fanservice or lollies does not, in fact, have anything to do with hurting actual people. It sucks people have to be predators IRL, but at least it gives us a nice comeback when they attack our fandom. The virtue signaling doesn't end there, however. Japanese artists on Twitter are still being attacked for the dumbest reasons. Whether it's a character's age, their skin color, or chest size, Twittarians are finding reasons to harass artists all across the platform, and sadly, they've succeeded in chasing away some really great art. More recently, the issue has been skin color. How dare artists make Nessa's skin even slightly lighter to account for a pastel-colored art style? How dare you interpret Knuckles, a red animal, to be white as a human? He's clearly coded black. Really? We've got people making BLM versions of Pyra, and you don't see me complaining. As long as it's not malicious, let people have their fun, goddammit. In response to these Twitter hate mobs, one user, Storipu, put out a PSA in both English and Japanese, meant to educate Japanese artists on how to respond to harassment. Needless to say, those same Twittarians are upset that they're being called out as bullies and whiny cancel culture children. The biggest point of contention comes from how the PSA warns artists about Twitter profiles that include things like BLM, ACAB, gender pronouns, and buzzwords like feminist, K-pop groups, poly, and demi. Some people online have referred to this as SJW bingo. On the surface, I can see why this ruffles feathers. It appears to insinuate that trans people and activists all hate fanservice and attack artists, but that's actually not what it's saying at all. It's kind of a reverse causality. It's not that being, say, trans makes you an SJW. I know there are trans people out there who love their big titty anime. That said, whenever you happen to see someone who virtue signals and harasses artists, you can almost always find these traits in their profile when you check it out after the fact. I'll admit it's petty to dismiss someone's voice based on the content of their profile, but the other side happens to do this a lot too. Some Twittarians condemn anyone who has ecchi in their feed, or anime girls in their profile pics, and dismiss them in a similar manner. What I do agree with in this PSA is that Japanese artists should never apologize for, alter, or remove their art based on the harassment they receive. They should not be going out of their way to appease people with pronouns in their bios, just as people with pronouns in their bios shouldn't be sticking their noses into an anime artist's business. A true Western anime fan doesn't want artists to cater work to them. Instead, all we want is to access that Japanese-made content with subtitles to overcome the language barrier. That's it. Speaking of subtitles, it looks like 7 Seas Entertainment is back at it with cutting and altering content from their light novel translations, specifically with the release of I'm in Love with the Villainess. Apparently, it had some culturally specific references to stereotypical gay representation on television, and that was taken out not to offend anyone in the West. It was more of a commentary than an endorsement, though. But again, even if the text were homophobic, it's a localizer's job to bring that shit to us regardless. This work has been tossed in with the other works that 7 Seas promises to fix moving forward, and honestly, I hope they've truly learned their lesson. Lastly, I want to comment on seasonal anime, both the ones finishing up right now, as well as what's coming up for spring. First, my fears regarding The Promised Neverland Season 2 were right. I can safely say that this was all the result of the studio trying to finish up the story in just one season, which is absolutely insane. The first season, at most, comprised like 30% of the original manga, and trying to cover that other 70% in the same number of episodes is suicidal. As a result, we're getting highlights of certain parts in the manga without the proper development for us to fully appreciate the emotional value of those scenes. Sadly, this means that even if they tried to pull what they did for Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, remaking it more authentically, it wouldn't work since so many dramatic moments have been prematurely spoiled now. This truly is the most disappointing anime I've ever seen, since there was no good reason this should have happened at all. Mind you, it's not horrible, but it could have been so much better. That said, the definite highlights this season have been Mushoku Tensei, Beastars, and Wonder Egg Priority. I truly believe there's an anime out there for everyone, and this season gets close to proving that. We can have shows like Mushoku Tensei, which depict degenerates getting their peeps in at young girls, while also appreciating shows like Wonder Egg that handle matters of assault, and even transgender issues, much more maturely. That's the beauty of fiction, and I think both works are perfectly valid. Sadly, I don't think this upcoming spring season looks nearly as exciting. Still, I'll list what I plan on watching. I'll check out Nagatoro-san simply because of all the needless controversy surrounding it. I imagine it'll be a lot like Uzaki, in that it's a fairly mundane anime that gets way more attention than it perhaps deserves. I might keep up with My Hero Academia, though honestly I'm getting very tired of it. The first Zombieland saga was fun, so I see no reason the sequel can't be entertaining. I'll admit that I really liked Shaman King when I was a kid, but I can't say I'm hyped to watch another shonen, retold in what could perhaps be even lazier animation. I imagine Fruits Basket fans will be happy, but it's just not something that's interested me much. The rest of the anime slated for release? Well, I just don't know enough about them to comment. That could be a good thing though, as I can be pleasantly surprised by any interesting anime that weren't on my radar. How do you feel about it? What anime are you looking forward to? What do you think about the harassment of artists on Twitter, or the whole pronouns and bios situation? Perhaps more importantly, what do you think about all this new Tsukihime news? Are you hyped? Are you concerned? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and, most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all of my anime discussion, lore, or Let's Play content. If you want to support me directly, there are now 3 ways that all provide the same benefits. You can click Join here on YouTube, or join Patreon or Subscribestar for access to exclusive vids and early access. As always, celebrate your fandom.